I thought I just heard Amaal. I'll rewind that. Amaal. Rewind it, filter it. Amaal. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming through. Why so long? Hear that? Why so long? It's our question too. Why so long? Yes, why so long to be found? We don't know that answer, unfortunately. We're going to be attempting to do the contact with Asra and Amaal Abdullah. I will try. I don't make any guarantees. I'm going to light an incense first. So let's see what we get coming through. So I did actually today earlier I did say that if they wanted to come through, they're welcome, but I'm not going to force them. It is up to them. It's not up to me, and it's not up to anybody else. So we have to respect that. I don't know what went on. Nobody does. We can all assume and jump to all types of conclusions and scenarios and what have you. But I'll read what was written here. This is from the abcnet.au or abc.net.au. I'll just read a bit of a briefing. It says here, what happened in apartment 115? It is common knowledge, so, to pretend I don't know anything about it would be stupid, because every man and his dog in Sydney knows about this. So we've got here, 2 women are found mysteriously dead, with the crime scene offering more questions than answers. Some say their deaths reflect a silent crisis. And this is by Mohammed Fazil and Rachel Brown for background briefing. It says, warning, this story contains descriptions that some readers may find distressing and discussions of suicide. Mail has been piling up in the corridor outside an apartment in Canterbury in Sydney's inner west. Neighbours move in and out of the complex, unaware of what lies behind the apartment's door. Apartment 115 is behind on the rent, so the landlord sends in the sheriff. Inside the apartment, 2 sisters from Saudi Arabia are discovered dead, and they have been dead for more than a month. Police are called to investigate the crime scene, but it presents more questions than answers. There are no obvious signs of forced entry to the apartment, nor signs of injury to the women. The sisters are found in separate rooms, each in their own bed. Initial autopsy and toxicology reports come back inconclusive. So what happened? Why did the women come here? What or who were they running from, and why did they die alone? Nobody wants to talk. When we first start investigating, we don't even know the sisters' names, and it seems nobody wants to talk, or contacts in the Saudi community aren't convinced it's a murder. But if it is, they don't want to be anywhere near it, citing their fear of a Saudi government presence in Australia. As one of our interviewees later puts it, Saudi Arabia is untouchable, creates a huge amount of fear. All we have is an address for the Canterbury apartment, then we manage to get inside. It's been more than 7 weeks since the bodies were found, but the smell still lingers between the 2 bedrooms. On an adjacent shelf, there is an open jar of gel that neutralises the odour. Everything that once filled the apartment has been seized by homicide or discarded. The bedroom's carpet have been replaced by tradesmen who cycle through the room. The memory of what happened here is being scrubbed out. Building manager Michael Baird circles the apartment complex, keeping tabs on the tenants. They see a lot, building managers, comings and goings, and the vagaries of human nature. Asra Alsehli, 24, and her sister Amaal, 23, moved into apartment 115 in November last year. We will later find out they fled Saudi Arabia in 2017 and had lodged a claim for asylum in Australia before they died. They're such beautiful girls too. A source with detailed knowledge of the sisters' situation say they were scared of a male relative and were afraid he'd come over or send someone to get them. Another source associated with their legal service said the women believed there was a private investigator following them. Michael, the building manager, says the sisters were reserved and kept to themselves. He said the first interaction with them was earlier this year when their black BMW was keyed. We believe that was not a personal attack to them because they'd parked their car in an unusual position and somebody's obviously taken offence to it, he says. But in the months that followed, he grew increasingly concerned. In late January, the sisters sent him an anxious email asking him to check the building's CCTV cameras as they feared their food delivery had been tampered with. They told him they were planning to contact the police. When he checked the cameras, Michael found nothing. The girls were very scared of something, and were not sure of what it was. Something, someone, they didn't tell us, he says. In late March, a plumber was called to the apartment to assess a water leak. As soon as he finished the work, he found Michael. He said the sisters stayed in the corner of their front room the whole 10 minutes he was there and didn't say a word. The plumber was concerned that there was something outward happening in the apartment, says Michael. He goes, I don't know, something definitely wrong with the apartment, something definitely happening in that place is not good. The girls look scared for some reason. I don't want to go back. Michael called the police, asking them to conduct a welfare check on the 2 women, but they wouldn't unlock the door, he says. Eventually the door was opened and the police stood at the door asking the girls a series of questions. They said they were okay. They didn't want any police involvement, and the police left it at that. Still concerned, Michael went to the apartment with his day manager under the guise of looking for a leak, and what he saw has stuck with him ever since. I went into the unit. I saw these 2 little girls stuck in the corner, like 2 little sparrows, he says. Really, I was looking to make sure there was nobody in the unit as well that was causing them to be afraid or timid. I fessed up and said, look, I'm not really here to look at the leak. I'm here to talk to you. Just tell me whatever it is. It's okay. But he says the women wouldn't speak. They more or less wanted us to leave as quickly as possible. The next time Michael Baird was called to the apartment, Asra and Amaal were dead. The whole thing strikes me as strange, right? I think it's very rare for two people, two sisters, two young women, to decide to end their lives if that's indeed what happened, he says. The search. Outside the apartment, a flurry of cars rushes along Canterbury Road. Hunting for more clues, we buzz neighbours' apartments for details. This is very well written. The person who lived next door to the sisters is willing to speak, but they know very little about the women. Only seen of one of them was leaving the car park, says the neighbour. Quite strange, because they live in the apartment next to me. I would assume I'd have seen them at least once leaving or entering. We approach a group of tradesmen standing at the door of the apartment block. Among them a worker who knew the building well. He reveals he'd been inside the apartment once the bodies were removed and proceeds to describe what he saw. One detail struck him as a bit odd. 2 crucifix necklaces were lying on the floor of one of the bedrooms. The find is unexpected. Islam is a state of religion in Saudi Arabia, and if non-Muslims seek to become citizens, they must convert to Islam. It's unclear whether the sisters had converted to Christianity or whether the necklaces meant something else entirely. But discovery puzzled that worker, who also volunteers another piece of information in the weeks before the sisters' death. He saw a stranger in the lobby on 2 separate occasions. He described the man as having a Middle Eastern appearance and says he approached him to ask what apartment he was from. 115, he said. The apartment where the sisters were supposedly living. When the bodies were found, the worker promptly reported the incident to police. With the investigation in full swing, the police wouldn't be drawn on the specifics of the case and wouldn't confirm whether crucifixes were found in the apartment, nor whether they were aware of the presence of a man in the building's lobby. At the apartment block, we've run out of people to talk to. We decide to head back to the office as we're standing waiting for a cab. Something really weird happens. A car pulls up at the lights. Its driver pulls an iPhone out and takes a photograph of us. In a slow, deliberate fashion, like he wanted us to know, I'm watching you. The sense of paranoia we've detected in everyone we've spoken to or tried to speak to begins closing in. Finding friends. The sisters had a very scarce presence online, but when we run a search of their names, we find both sisters had ABNs, and that leads us to an address in Smithfield in Western Sydney. On Google Street View, a snapshot from November... Whoops, what's happened here? This is weird. Something just happened. What just happened? My screen just went weird. Okay. I'm back again. I was just scrolling and then it just went all weird. Okay. On Google Street View, a snapshot from November 2019 reveals a black BMW parked in the driveway. The car is the same make and model as the BMW they were driving whilst they live in Canterbury unit. At the Smithfield address, we meet a Syrian family with their daughter, Rita, acting as translator for her parents. They confirm the sisters lived in a granny flat beneath their house for around 18 months. The girls were really nice. They were just really good people, Rita says. They moved to the house because it was closer to their TAFE and they usually stayed up all night and only slept in the morning. According to Rita, the sisters were studying traffic management and worked for a construction company holding road signs. They lived a discreet life and didn't have visitors, except for one man. The older sister, Asra's boyfriend, an Iraqi man with a beard, Rita recalls. That made us tick. Late in 2018, Asra Alsehli, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm obviously not good at pronouncing names that are foreign. Asra Alsehli took out an apprehended domestic violence order against a Fairfield man, only to drop it in January 2019. The name the court gave us is an Iraqi one. Could the subject of that AVO be Asra's boyfriend or someone else altogether? We don't know. We later tried to contact the man whose name appeared on the AVO, but hear nothing back. Keen to help Rita's parents pick up the phone and dial the Smithfield House's landlord, he's someone else who had a direct contact with Asra and Amaal. He tells us the sisters came to this house in October 2018 through a refugee settlement service. I said to my wife, I feel bad for these girls, young girls by themselves. I was surprised when they came to rent it. They look like kids, especially the youngest one. She looks like she was only about 13. He was devastated to hear of their deaths. Rita, who's been listening in on the conversation, says she learnt of the sisters' deaths on Facebook. She hadn't spoken to them since she waved them goodbye nearly 2 years ago. Women who flee. We want to know more about how the sisters might have felt in the months and years leading up to their deaths. So we meet with another woman who fled Saudi Arabia. She's asked us to use the name Hayat. Hayat was in her 20s and had lost her faith in Islam when she decided to leave Saudi Arabia to be free as a woman. She says to board the plane, she had to obtain permission from her father, so she made up a story about where she was going. I felt so scared because at the moment my family could find out and I could be forced to go back. The border officials who suspect a Saudi woman intends to claim asylum can cancel her visa and detain her at the airport. There were some who got caught in Malaysian airports, some of them in, as far as I remember, Philippines, others in Thailand, Hayat said. Some of them, they even arrived to Sydney airport and were turned back because they asked for asylum in the airport. And no one has heard anything from them since. Hayat arrived at the airport terrified, not knowing a single person in Australia. I remember crying because I was seeing other people. Their relatives are waiting for them at the airport and they were hugging and kissing, and I'm like, I know no one here. Hayat is one of the 75 Saudi Arabian women who have been granted permanent protection visas in Australia since mid-2017. Many of them fled the country's guardianship laws, which allows their male relatives to control their lives. Hayat says the sisters would have likely been living in fear, like she has been, that someone in their family may drag them home. Sometimes I will be walking around and think, that looks like someone in my family. I'm always concerned, she says. Hayat's heard stories of Saudi students or workers who feed information back to the government. As recently as June, the FBI arrested a Saudi student whose visa application said he worked for Saudi royal court after he threatened dissidents in the US and Canada. I heard years ago they were chasing young girls, Hyatt said, and telling them, we'll give you free education. You can go to the US, on a scholarship. We can do that for you. We can provide you with free accommodation. One of the girls believed them and she went with them, and they said, you will just have a stopover in Riyadh, and then from Riyadh to US. And then she was held up at the airport in Riyadh. Oh God, I wish there were easier names. And no one heard anything from her since. Without names or dates, we couldn't corroborate this anecdote. So why are families so desperate to track down women who flee? Hyatt said they bring shame to their families. People will be like, oh, okay, your daughters ran away. Then you were not strong enough to discipline your daughter. And the kids will get bullied at school because of their sister. And also, this is very important, because if one girl escapes, then her sister might not get married as well, because no one wants them, because she will probably be like her sister. In 2018, two sisters who fled Saudi Arabia were found bound together on the banks of the Hudson River in New York, drowned. God. The deaths were classed as suicides. How? And law enforcement sources said the sisters would rather do harm to themselves than return to their home country. When we asked Hyde if the same fate could have claimed the Alsehli sisters, I'm sure they've given a different name. Abdullah was the name. So I'm not sure what name these sisters are. If it's a different name, I'll have to change it on the thing. But it's got here. She gives a candid answer. There's nothing worse than living in Saudi Arabia for women, honestly, and I don't think myself about suicide, but only when I was in Saudi Arabia. I never thought about it when I came here. We will hear this view again and again from Saudi women we speak to, that they have already been through the worst trauma of their lives. And a lawyer who represents these women echoes their feelings, saying, for the profile of women that I deal with, suicide just doesn't ring true. For women who have been through horrific abuse, we're talking rapes where you have to be hospitalized, daily continual beatings, sexual abuse by multiple members of a family, to then get the safe country where you can just start to explore who you might be and what your potential might be, particularly with a supportive sibling. Very difficult to think that that might be suicide. A silent crisis. While we chase the past of two young women who still largely seem like ghosts to us, a source tells us there are countless more like them who you'll never hear about. Gianna Ferrero is the Director of Advocacy and Campaigns at the Asylum Seeker Resource Centre, where she heard the news about the Asali sisters. She felt a deep sense of despair. I really felt a deep sadness that two young women had died who were seeking asylum, who were in our care, who were in Australia seeking protection and should have been supported by our system, she says. The centrepiece of that system is something called Status Resolution Support Services, or SRSS. It's a small income stream, about $35 a day, designed to help asylum seekers survive while their claims are being processed. Jana Favaro says that since 2018, the federal government has slashed the program's funding. How typical is that? It went from about $140 million in 2017 to 2018 in the budget to $33 million in 2021 to 22 to be able to provide those services. It's disgusting. Of Jana's approximately 7,000 clients, only 100 can now access SRSS support. For Asra and Amaal, that would have meant losing about $500 a week between them, almost as much as their rent. God. What we've seen at ASRC is when people are cut off from SRSS, it forces them into a life of destitution and poverty, Jana says. It forces them into homelessness because that amount of money, as small as it is a difference between being able to have one meal a day or not. Jana says the sisters' tragic fate is indicative of a silent crisis, the number of people who have lost their lives while waiting on protection via visa decisions. They turned to us for protection, for safety, and they've lost their lives. It's an absolute stain on our history. We tell of the brick walls we've hit trying to find the name of the lawyer handling the sisters' asylum claim. The system is set up that way, she responds, to keep the asylum seekers voiceless and invisible. Even if you found their lawyer, they're not allowed to talk to you anyway. The family. 7 weeks after the sisters' bodies were discovered, New South Wales Police convenes a press conference and finally confirms the names of the sisters. Police release photographs in a bid to attract more information. Any information, no matter how small you think it might be, might help us work out the circumstances leading up to the deaths of Asra and Amaal, Detective Inspector Claudia Alcroft says. Police are waiting on the coroner's report, she says. The sisters' causes of deaths are still undetermined and all avenues are open. We ask if the Alsehli family will be coming over to Australia. The family have instructed the Saudi consulate to act on their behalf, she says. We put an interview request to the specific questions to the Saudi consulate in Sydney to be passed to the Alsehli family, but have not received a reply. Seeking hope. Reflecting on the deaths of the sisters, Hyatt recalls the years she spent feeling like an outsider in her new home. It's a very individualist society, she says, of Australia. No one looks at you. Your neighbour doesn't check on you. I tried twice during Christmas because this is my culture to send some sweets to all my neighbours. Despite including handwritten cards to each neighbour, she says she didn't receive a single reply. When I first came to Australia, I was scared like something would happen and I'd die and no one knows who I am. Who were Asra and Amaal? 5 weeks into our investigation, we still don't know. Their case is riddled with question marks, questions that obscure the portrait of who they were and who they wanted to be. If this story has raised any issues for you, phone Lifeline on 13 11 14. And this says this story comes from ABC's RN's background briefing program, and you can follow their podcast on ABC Listen app. So that is, yeah, we are very lucky. I couldn't imagine how these people, I mean, these women trying to find freedom and to be accepted, and if you happen to have a person who is an asylum seeker, or from another country, I'm the kind of person, I don't get involved with my neighbours, but if someone does something nice, like gives you some treats and a card, give something back, give some acknowledgement, especially if they're a woman. Always make sure you are at least checking on them to see that they're okay. You don't know what lives these people have gone through. My God, it must be terrifying. And to think that no one has heard, I mean, it really does send a reality check, doesn't it? It's a wake-up call. I couldn't imagine the fear that must have been going through these girls. And the scary thing is that they were there a month before they were discovered. A whole month. That's really sad that not even the neighbours bothered. I mean, God, nobody bothered. A whole month. Young women. And if that landlord, they were already seeing how nervous and timid they were and everything like that, why wait a whole month before? I mean, it's just mind-blowing to think that these girls' bodies were there a month. What was it, 7 weeks? So it's over a month and a half, before their bodies were found. And yet they knew prior to that there was something going on, that these girls were scared of something. So I'm gobsmacked. I'm really gobsmacked. All right. So I'm a little confused now. On one page it said their surname was Abdullah, and yet on here it says their surname is, where is it? I might have to change it in the description. On here it says Alsehli, Alshli. So let me change that, because I don't want them having the wrong name. So bear with me. There we go. If their name is wrong, then I will blame ABC. But on one it said Abdullah. So I'm a little confused. Unless they used 2 names. I have no idea. So yeah, it does seem they weren't safe here. And isn't it a bit peculiar that these people were just doing a little bit of investigating And this person made no secret of going past them and taking a photo at the lights. I mean, that's a bit creepy. And what's with the crucifixes, if there were crucifixes? Especially if they're Muslim. I mean, was there perhaps something paranormal? I have no idea. It's something we can ask anyway. So obviously, because they're not here, we're going to do the spirit box. This way they can have a voice, and we'll see what comes through. If Asra and Amaal are present on the other side, can you please speak and say hello?
Later.
Asra and Amaal, can you hear me? Can you say hello? Is Asra and Amaal able to communicate, please?
Right.
Is this Asra?
It.
John.
Can I speak to the sisters Asra and Amaal Alsehli, please?
City.
Hello?
Cool.
If there is any chance for Asra and Amaal to come through.
Yeah.
Reset it. Who is speaking? Who is speaking? Asra. I'll rewind it. Asra. I'll rewind it again. Asra. Okay. I think we've got contact. Asra? Are you willing to speak to us about what happened?
And this is.
Let me read. I'll rewind that. I don't mind. Did you hear that? I'll rewind it again.
And this is.
I don't mind. Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. Asra, can you please tell us what happened to you and your sister? Was this self-inflicted? Just a yes or no if you wouldn't mind. Was your death self-inflicted? Asra, was your death self-inflicted? I'll rewind that. Okay. I'll rewind that. Are you serious? I'll reset it. Okay. Asra? Can you please reply again to my question? Was your passing of yourself and your sister self-inflicted? Can I get that again, please? Was your passing of yourself and your sister self-inflicted? Asra? Asra? Can you hear me still? Asra, can you hear me? Don't be afraid to speak to me. No one can hurt you anymore. Are you and your sister together? Asra, are you and Amaal together? Are you and Amaal together? Who's talking?
She would be.
She would be. Something weird going on here.
Not really.
Are you around? Are you around at the moment? I just felt something really electrical go by me. It's really weird. Asra, can you hear me? Was that you doing that? I'll reset it. Was that you making that electrical feeling around me? Are you creating that? Are you creating that static feeling? Yes? Okay. I feel you. Of course you can. Okay. Why did you take your life? Did you have some bad energy around you? Did you feel that you were cursed or something? Were you worried about curses or something? Were you worried about curses? Was that a yes? The manager. Did you hear that? Just rewind that. Manager. Okay. Asra, can you hear me still? Is your sister there? Can I say hello to your sister? She left. Don't sweat. Asra, can I speak with your sister, Amaal? Amaal, can I speak with you? Amaal, Abdullah, Alsehli, can you hear me? Was Asra and Amaal responsible for their own passing? Okay. So it appears yes. Did they take anything? Did they take a substance? Reset it. I'll just pause this. It's really hard to know what, I mean, as I said in the beginning, Crystal, we can all surmise. I find it a bit weird that the manager was saying on one hand that he felt there was something off and, you know, worried about these girls, yet didn't bother to check on them for 7 weeks until, you know, like after their passing. It doesn't add up to me. That feels very suspicious. And why send a sheriff around when he knew them? He could have gone around to them. It doesn't add up. So I don't know. I don't think we're really going to get much of an answer, to be honest with you. But we'll see. We'll see what comes through. The thing is, I asked the cards if they took their own life, and I got yes. So they have taken their own life. It's not a murder. So we'll see what comes through the spirit box. Asra and Amaal. Are you still willing to talk? You're over it. Did you hear that? I'm over it. I'll rewind it. I'm over it. There's something else being said. I'll reset it. Who said I'm over it? Was that you, Asra? Committed suicide together. Why weren't they in the same area as each other? Being sisters and only having each other, would you think they would have been in the same bed? No, not necessarily. No, I don't think so. I don't think they wanted to see each other passing. I'm getting that kind of feeling, like I don't want to see my sister dying in front of me. So it's like they go away, they just do it. They probably thought they'd just go to sleep and that would be it. But as I said, you could be right, I could be wrong. We could all be right and wrong. You know, the ones with the answers are the ones who are on the other side. Asra, can you talk to me? Okay? She said okay. I'll rewind it. Okay. All right. So Asra, I understand that things were really hard for you and your sister. Can I just confirm that you took your own lives and it wasn't at the hand of somebody else? Is that right? Can you please speak through this? Is that right? Is that right, Asra? It's got a very soft voice. Did you take your lives to avoid it being taken by somebody else? I'll rewind that. You know that. Hear that? You know that. Okay. So that's confirmed. So you didn't want anyone else to be in control, and you took the control. Is that right? That must have been a very difficult thing for you to do. You must have been extremely terrified to make that decision. But I understand that you probably felt you had no other choice. Is that right? Didn't you have anybody here in Australia that you could talk to, that you had made friends with? What about the people in Strathfield? Was it Strathfield? I'm just rewind it again. Sounded like they would yell at us or something. Have you found peace?
Confusing.
It's confusing. What's confusing? Asra. Yeah, I'm here. She just said.
They're coming.
They're coming. Okay. Let me know when you're here. Are you here? Asra, can you hear me? Do you hear that? Habib. All right. Did you take something? If so, what did you take? Were you given something, Asra? Were you and your sister given something? Or did you make something?
And what?
Where were you when you took your last breath? Were you in bed or somewhere else?
Salam.
Were you in bed, Asra and Amaal? In bed. Okay. I'll rewind that. In bed. They're saying in bed. Why were you in separate rooms? Why didn't you go together? Is it because you didn't want to see each other pass away?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear that? So you didn't want to see the other person pass away.
What time is it?
It is almost 10 p.m. What time is it there? Were you drugged? Were they okay, I'll rewind that. Who's communicating? Who's communicating? What did you think of the landlord? What was his name? Michael? Just go back here. Michael, I just heard. I'll rewind it. Michael, hear that? Rewind it again. Michael. Okay, what did you think of Michael? Was he a nice person? Was there something you need to tell us? He lied? Let me rewind that. Was that he lied? Rewind it again. Okay. So the building manager lied? What did he lie about? Does he know something more than he's telling? He's awful. Rewind it again. Okay, I'll reset it. Okay. Was he there the night you passed away? Talk to me, Asra. Who was there the night you passed away? Say their name. Say the name of the person who was there the night you passed away. When you and your sister passed away, who was there? Who was there? Say their name. Who was there? Asra, can you hear me? Was it day or night when you passed away? I think this might be important too. Okay, they just said night. I'll rewind it. Night. Hear that? Night. I'll rewind it again. Night. Okay. Alright, so it was night. Do you mind if I ask, were there crucifixes in the room? Did you have crucifixes? What were the crucifixes for? What were the crucifixes for? I'll rewind that. Were you Christian or were you following Islam? Christian. Hear that? Straight away. Okay. Have you found heaven? Have you found heaven? I'll rewind that. Do you regret taking your life? Do you regret taking your life, Asra or Amaal? You don't want to talk about that? Okay, I'll rewind that. I'll rewind it again. I don't know what she said. Okay. Do you mind if I ask, did you take poison? Can you say what or how you obtained what you took? Did somebody sell you something or give you something? I thought I heard Michael. I'll rewind that. Michael. Did you hear that? Looks like Michael's got his hand in a bit more than we think. So, can you just please confirm, has this Michael got something to do with your passing? Like, did he give you something, even if he's not directly to blame? Did he give you something to take or to burn?
No.
I'll rewind it.
No.
Michael. Was Michael a friend to you? Did you consider him a friend? Is that a yes? Did you consider Michael a friend? Is this Michael bad or is this another Michael? Is that another Michael? So what is this other Michael's last name? Chand. Okay, I'll rewind it. Okay. This is really important. Okay. Okay, just rewind that. Is there anything you wanted to say, Asra or Amaal? Is there anything you want to say? Why so long? Hear that? Why so long? It's our question too. Why so long? Yes, why so long to be found? We don't know that answer, unfortunately. Did somebody see you before they took your bodies away? Like earlier than that? Did somebody see you a few weeks earlier? I'm sorry for what happened to you. Even if it's at your own hand. You were so young, you had your whole life ahead of you. Would you have done anything different? Had anybody been following you and your sister? Okay, Asra and Amaal. I know that it's probably taken a lot for you to make the little communication you have. I really appreciate the time you've given. And you are welcome to communicate whenever you feel like it. My God, it's just gone off. It's just gone off. That was weird. That just went off. That just went off and it just come back on. Like the light. And it's gone off again. See the light? There's the button right next to it. There's the button. I didn't touch it. Can you make it come back on? If that's you doing that, can you make it come back on? Are you doing this?
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've got some activity in the room. The button's right there. That's the on-off button, look. That's the on off button. That's it, on off. Can you turn it off again if you are trying to show us that you can communicate with this? See if we can. Who did that? Well, Asra and Amaal, I'm going to let you go now. But thank you so much for your time. Can you say goodbye? I thought I just heard Amaal. I'll rewind that. Amaal. Rewind it, filter it. Amaal. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming through. And when you're ready to talk and communicate, you can contact me. Is that a deal? Okay, well, I think we'll leave it there. That was weird. This turned off and on. So I'll turn that off. And that was quite an interesting session, regardless. So you'll have to listen back to that. I think in there were some intelligent replies. It's a bit interesting about this this Michael. Whether it's him, whether it's another Michael. There was something about a Michael. And it is sad. I mean, even like their question was, why so long? So it makes you wonder, doesn't it? You know, with neighbours and everything, surely even they would have seen, if there were mail piling up outside, they would have seen that. No doubt. If you were aware that there is young girls and they're very shy and everything like that, and they're not bringing in their mail and it's sitting outside their door, you would either be knocking and, you know, showing a little bit of concern as a neighbour, or at least getting a, you know, a check, just a, yeah, people just don't care, do they? They just don't seem to care anymore.